Ever wonder why you grabbed that extra dessert or bought something after a friendly chat with a salesperson? Welcome to Dark Psychology, where unseen influences guide your choices. Let's dive into how subtle tricks shape your everyday decisions without you even noticing. Number 10. The role of suggestion. You're more suggestible than you think. Suggestion is a core tool in dark psychology that influences everything from our memory to our preferences. Research shows it can shape behaviors subconsciously, often without us realizing it. The Hawthorne effect demonstrates how simply being observed makes people change their behavior, such as performing better when they feel watched. This effect impacts marketing, our work interactions, and even how we shop. Remarkably, people's expectations can make outcomes more likely, like feeling more relaxed after drinking wine just because they expect to, highlighting the hidden power of suggestion in daily life. Number 9. Cognitive bias. Why we see what we want to see. Our brains use cognitive biases as shortcuts to make sense of the world, but these biases can also be manipulated. Confirmation bias, for instance, makes us seek out information that supports our beliefs and ignore what contradicts them. This is often exploited in advertising, politics, and relationships to sway decisions subtly. Targeted ads reinforce preferences by showing us familiar products based on our browsing habits. This isn't just about filtering information. It's an emotionally driven response to protect our identity. Companies and politicians exploit this tendency to ensure we stick to our current beliefs, making us less open to change. Number 8. The science of reward-based manipulation. Our decisions are heavily driven by our brain's reward system. Johns Hopkins studies show that neuromodulators like dopamine play a vital role in evaluating rewards and making decisions. The prefrontal cortex, or decision hub, assesses potential rewards to guide our choices. Marketers exploit this reward-seeking nature with loyalty programs that keep us hooked on their products through small incentives. This behavior isn't limited to tangible rewards. Social rewards like approval or status also activate dopamine. Social media taps into this by rewarding us with likes and comments, creating addictive patterns that keep us engaged without us even realizing it. Number 7. The fear of missing out, a psychological trap. FOMO is a powerful psychological phenomenon that marketers and influencers use to sway your decisions. The fear of missing out plays on our deep-rooted desire to belong and be part of what others are experiencing. It's why limited time offers, countdowns, and last chance sales are so effective. They make you think that if you don't act now, you're going to miss something valuable. This kind of manipulation directly influences how we prioritize decisions, pushing us towards instant gratification rather than considering our long-term needs. Research has shown that FOMO isn't just a modern problem. It's part of our evolutionary biology. In the past, missing out on key resources or social gatherings could mean lower survival chances. Today, while the stakes aren't about survival, our brains still react in much the same way, making us anxious about missed opportunities. Marketers tap into this primal anxiety to push products, trips, or even social events, creating urgency where none truly exists. The result? We often make impulsive choices that favor short-term emotional relief over rational decision-making. Number 6. Neuro-linguistic programming. Words matter more than you think. Neuro-linguistic programming involves using language patterns to subtly influence another person's thoughts or behaviors. This form of dark psychology manipulates your subconscious mind using specific phrases, tone of voice, and body language to elicit desired responses. For example, phrases like "most people choose this option" play on our need for social validation, making us more likely to conform to what others are doing. NLP can also be used in advertising, negotiations, and even politics to subtly steer people's opinions or actions. Advancements in understanding language processing in the brain have provided deeper insights into how NLP techniques can be so effective. When certain words or phrases are used repeatedly, they create neural pathways that reinforce specific beliefs or behaviors. This explains why political slogans or marketing taglines that are catchy and repetitive are particularly persuasive. They are designed to stick in your brain, making them almost impossible to ignore, which eventually influences your behavior in favor of what the speaker or advertiser intends. Number 5. Emotional manipulation. The power of guilt and sympathy. Emotional manipulation is one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it's incredibly effective at influencing decision-making. People often exploit emotions like guilt, sympathy, or fear to get what they want. This is why charitable organizations often use imagery of suffering to solicit donations. It evokes sympathy and guilt, making people more likely to contribute. Similarly, abusive partners may use emotional manipulation to control their significant other, making them feel guilty for things beyond their control. Recent psychological studies have shown that these tactics work because they bypass the rational decision-making centers in the brain, directly engaging the limbic system, the part of the brain responsible for emotion. When we're feeling strong emotions, like guilt or sympathy, our ability to think logically becomes compromised. This is why high-stakes salespeople often use pressure tactics that make you feel emotionally overwhelmed, compelling you to make a purchase that you might later regret. Number 4. Social proof. Herd mentality in action. Social proof is a concept that explains why people tend to follow the actions of others. It's the psychological equivalent of, if everyone else is doing it, it must be right. This concept is widely exploited in marketing, especially through the use of testimonials and influencers. If you see that a product has thousands of positive reviews or that a popular celebrity endorses it, you're more inclined to think it's worth your time and money, regardless of whether it actually is. The social influence model describes how our decision-making can be entirely overridden by the need to conform to group norms. This tendency is deeply rooted in our history as social beings. Number 3. Authority bias. Trusting the experts. Authority bias is when we tend to trust authority figures, assuming they know best, sometimes to our detriment. This psychological effect is widely used in advertising, where actors dressed as doctors promote products to give them an air of credibility. Even in politics, leaders can be portrayed as knowledgeable to sway public perception, regardless of their actual competence. Neurological studies found that when we see someone as an authority, our brains reduce activity in areas responsible for critical thinking, making us more likely to accept their statements without questioning. This outsourcing of critical evaluation saves mental effort, but also leaves us vulnerable to manipulation. Number 2. Scarcity effect. The urgency to act now. The scarcity effect is a psychological principle that drives us to act quickly when we perceive something as limited or exclusive. Sales and marketing teams exploit this effect through phrases like limited time offer or only a few left. The fear of missing out makes people believe that if they don't act now, they may lose an opportunity forever. Studies have shown that scarcity increases perceived value, making people more willing to pay a higher price or make hasty decisions. Recent research in consumer psychology has found that when presented with scarce options, people's decision-making processes bypass rational evaluation, leaning heavily on emotional reactions. This effect is especially potent in online shopping, while minimizing the typical scrutiny that would accompany a purchase. Number 1. Reciprocity. The need to return the favor. Reciprocity is a powerful principle often used to manipulate our decisions. When someone does something for us, we feel a subconscious obligation to return the favor. This principle is widely used in marketing. For example, when companies offer a free sample, they're not just being generous. They're triggering your sense of obligation to reciprocate by buying the product. Neurological studies have shown that this feeling of indebtedness activates regions in the brain associated with social emotions, making us more likely to comply with requests. This concept also extends beyond consumer products. In negotiations, offering a small concession makes the other party more inclined to reciprocate, often agreeing to larger requests. In a political context, gifts or favors create a sense of obligation, leading to support or endorsements, even if they may not align with personal interests. Thanks for sticking around to the end, folks. If your brain feels a little more hacked than before, don't worry. You're in good company. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Because hey, If you're not subscribed, you might be missing out, and we all know what FOMO does, right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.